Hello everyone, this is Daniel of fitnessbuilder.com. Today we have a really nice intense core routine for you. We're doing a little tiny short bout of HIIT just to get you really nice and warmed up, and then we're going to go through and torture those core muscles, those abs, obliques, and lower back. So we have a warm-up and a cool-down included with this, so you don't need to do any of those, and you don't need any equipment whatsoever. So let's go ahead and get started with that warm-up. Alright everyone, let's go ahead and get started with our warm-up. We're doing each one of these for 30 seconds apiece, starting off with a side step and bend. So we're just going to be stepping to the side and bending over, trying to stretch out that torso a little bit. So go ahead and start up, just alternating back and forth. Kind of kick that leg back behind you a little bit just to get a little extra stretch out of it. All these stretches or all these warm-up exercises, we're going to be focusing on getting that core nice and warm for that core routine a little bit later. You always want to try to focus on the muscles you're going to be using that day. We've got a high knee march coming up next. So just focus on bringing those knees up nice and high. At least hip height, but higher if you can. Really draw that knee up. Keep that torso straight up and down. Don't lean over towards that knee. Just keep it going. Move it a little faster if you feel comfortable, as long as you have that range of motion down. Just take your time. Toe touch sweeps next. So feet just about shoulder width apart, a little bit wider. You can go down to one foot across and back up, and then back down again. Try to get that rotation through that torso. Again, trying to focus on warming up that core quite a bit. Like I said earlier, we have a little short HIIT workout to do first, just to really get that blood pumping around before we start. This will serve to warm us up for both. Alright, we're doing a squatting torso twist next. So you're going to bring one knee up, and then rotate that torso as you squat, and then bring that opposite knee up. Really again, focusing on rotating through that torso, warming up those core muscles. Keep those lungs open, don't hold your breath. Doing a roll up toe touch next. So nice and slow, you're going to roll those shoulders forward, down towards those toes, tuck that chin, stretch those toes. Stretch those legs out just a little bit and then come back up. Tuck that chin around those shoulders. And then unroll the top. Back down. We'll get one more in. And back up. Go to a nice wide stance. We're doing alternating warrior, so one foot out to the side. You can go down, up, switch feet, down to the opposite side, and switch back. Just alternating back and forth. Getting a little bit deeper lunge every single time, as low as is comfortable. Keeping those arms parallel to the ground. Just nice, slow, controlled motion. Stretching those legs. Keeping those core muscles nice and tight. And let it relax. We're doing a bend over rotation next. So flat back, like you're trying to do a toe touch. Make sure that back stays flat though. Don't round those shoulders. You're going to rotate your shoulders left. Back to the right. If you need to, bend those knees to keep that back more flat. Otherwise, get that stretch to that hamstring as well. And go into that boxer shuffle. Just stay up on those toes. Start warming up a little bit more. Start trying to get that heart rate up a little bit more. Nice quick motion, just back and forth from foot to foot. Lungs open. We're moving to just a traditional jumping jack next. 5 seconds. Feet together, arms down by your sides, and feet come apart as arms come up. Keep those arms contracted, nice and tight. Don't let those elbows bend the whole time. You want to make that shoulder have to work. Keep it contracted, keep it solid. Don't just swing those arms around. Keep those lungs open. Keep everything moving nice and even. Speed it up if you feel comfortable, as long as you have control. Switching to a fly jack next. So arms come out as those feet come out. Arms together in front as those feet come together. Nice quick motion. Keep those lungs open. Have just about 10 seconds left. Keep pushing through it. Speed it up if you can. And let it relax. All right, we'll be right back to start into that little short section of HIIT in just a second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 different exercises to go through. We're doing each one for 20 seconds on with a 10-second rest to move to the next exercise. We're gonna go through all 5 and then come back through and go through all 5 again, and then we'll be done, move on to that core. So, with that said, I'm gonna get that timer started. We're starting off with rotational jumps. So you're going to do as much as you possibly can, up to a full 360. So squat down, jump, face opposite direction, and jump back. If you need to, just do a 45 and back. If you can, try to get a full rotation. But you're just alternating back and forth every single time, nice and quick. Mountain climbers, so down on the ground in a push-up position. Feet out. And start them up nice and quick. Drawing those feet in and out. Barely tap that toe and right back out. If you want it to be harder, don't let that toe actually touch underneath you. Make those muscles, those hip flexors, have to keep those feet up off the ground. Stand back up, we're doing lateral jumps next. Get ready, and start it. So jump left to right, stay low. Try to use all of your momentum and all of that push to get side to side rather than up and down. Keep those lungs open. 5 seconds. Doing a jumping lunge rotation, so you're going to start facing one direction, jump, and facing the opposite direction. So drop it down, just jump and rotate, just back and forth. Try to keep that balance. Let it relax. We got high knees next. Keep those lungs open. Breathe deep. Start them up. Draw those knees up nice and high. Move as quick as you can, as quick as is comfortable. All right, starting back over, rotational jumps. Jumping back and forth, just 180 degrees if you can, further if possible, or if you can't quite get that far, so 45 is fine. Let it relax. Mountain climbers are next. Those feet moving. Keep those hips low. Keep those lungs open. Stand back up, we got lateral jumps. Stay low, just back and forth. Let it relax. Jumping lunge rotation. Lunge, jump and rotate. Keep those lungs open. Whoop. And try to keep your balance. Man, I'm having trouble. Let it relax for just a second. We got high knees. So last one before we start working that core. Start them up. Push it nice and quick. This is your last one before you get a little bit more of a break. And let it relax. Whew. All right. Take a little bit of a water break. We'll be right back to starting that core section. And really tire out those abs and obliques and lower back. All right, everyone, we're going to start into this core section now. It is going to be nice and brutal. We're going to be doing each one of these exercises for 50 seconds straight through. We have a 10-second rest to move to the next exercise, and then we start in again, another 50 seconds on the next one. We're going through 15 different exercises. We're not going to repeat any of them. We're just going straight through full 50 seconds every single one. So your abs are going to give out on you. Don't worry about trying to push through this entire thing without stopping. If you can, you're a beast. If you can't, you're a normal human being. So just do as best you can, push as hard as you can, take little breaks if you need to, and then get right back to it. Make sure your form is as clean as possible. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, our first one is going to be just a traditional crunch. So go ahead and lay down flat on your back. Feet about on the ground, knees about a 90-degree angle, hands behind your head, and crunch it up. Nice tight squeeze. Back down, don't let everything completely relax. You want to keep a little bit of a hover, and then right back up again. So make sure you're pulling those abdominal muscles in nice and tight, crunching up and rounding rather than going straight forward. So crunch forward like you're trying to get those shoulders down into those hips. Just keep it going, nice, slow, controlled motion. If you need to take a rest, do so, but otherwise, just keep going through that full range as long as you can, without pausing and without letting those muscles relax. Just go to that happy place, focus on that form, get it done. Keep those lungs open. No holding your breath. Okay, stand that back. We're going to be doing windshield wipers next. So the easier version of this is bringing those knees to kind of a tabletop position, 90 degree on those knees. Hands out nice and wide. You're going to rotate those hips left to right. Just go as far down to the ground as you can control without letting that shoulder up off the ground. You want to keep those shoulders plastered to the mat the entire time. If you're a glutton for punishment, you want to make this a little bit harder and extend those legs out a little bit further. The more of a full extension you get, the harder it's going to be on those obliques. Just keep it moving. Nice, slow, controlled motion with as full of an extension on those legs as you can possibly control. Excuse me. Just take your time. Make sure you're dropping those legs at the same speed as you're lifting them. No quick jerky motions. You're doing a side crunch next. So tuck those knees up. One knee stacked on top of the other. Shoulders kind of rotate a little bit. You're going to crunch up, shoulders down into those hips. Just keep those lungs open. Tight squeeze. Again, try to keep those obliques kind of slightly contracted the entire time, never letting them completely release as you drop back down. So you want those hips pretty much stacked right on top of one another. And you want those shoulders kind of twisted at about a 45-degree angle. So we're getting a little bit of abs, a little bit of obliques at the same time. Just keep pushing through it. Same thing on the other side, so flip around. Again, shoulders about a 45-degree angle, hips stacked one on top of the other, just crunching up as tight as you can. A little bit of a hover at the bottom, don't let those obliques completely release. Lungs open, don't hold your breath. Focus on that form, trying to get as much range of motion as you can. Tight, tight squeeze at the top of that range of motion, feeling like you're trying to pull that shoulder down into your hip. Doing a back bow next. Just going to roll onto your stomach. Easier version is going to be those hands tucked to your sides. Next is hands behind your head. The hardest is a full extension on those arms. It's just whichever version you want. Just arching that back up nice and high every single time. Make sure keep that nose pointed down towards the mat. Again, keep those lungs open, no holding your breath. Keep a little bit of a hover at the bottom, don't let that back completely relax. Tight squeeze, pulling that back up as high as you can every single time. And back onto your back. Starting into kind of our third group here, our second group. We're doing a Jackknife Crunch. So hands up, feet up, drop them both out as far as is comfortable. Back up, crunch up towards those toes. If it gets a little too hard for you for those legs, just bend those knees a little bit. Otherwise, if you can take it, leave those legs out nice and straight. Don't let those arms or those legs touch the ground. You want to keep them hovering at the bottom as much as you can. Get them as low to the ground as possible without letting that lower back lift up off the ground. Just take your time. Slow, controlled motions, same speed on the way down as on the way up. You're going to have a tendency to want to rush bringing those legs back up. Just slow down and control it. And back onto your stomach. We're doing swimmers next. Arms out nice and extended. Easier version is just going to be lifting one arm, one leg. Make sure it's the left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg. If you want a little bit harder, then hover it. And then to get it harder from there, just start speeding it up. So pick whichever version is comfortable for you. Keep that form clean. Just keep it going. Keep that face looking down towards that mat. Keep those lungs open. Keep those lungs open. Slow it down if you need to. Keep those arms hovering if you can. If you need to let them relax, touch them down for just a second. Right back up. All right, we have a Russian twist next. Back around on your tailbone. Lean back, hands in front of your chest. Rotate slowly left to right. So sitting up pretty much straight and tall. It's going to be nice and easy. The further you lean back, the harder it's going to get. You might feel yourself having to kind of kick those feet out away from you just a little bit for counterbalance. That's perfectly fine. The hardest version of this is actually going to be leaning back enough those feet hover off the ground. Keep checking that lower back, make sure it's pulled up underneath you. No rounding your back and twisting. Just whatever version is most difficult for you, but you're still able to keep a clean form. All right, side hip raise. We on your left or right, we're gonna do both sides. Easier version is off of those knees, harder version is with those feet out. We're gonna bring that hip up. It's gonna press it up nice and high, drop it down, keep a little bit of a hover, right back up. I know a lot of people don't like this one, but it is a great oblique exercise. Keep that shoulder contracted. Make sure that shoulder joint's sitting nice and even. Don't let that shoulder relax. Take your time. Tight squeeze at the top. Remember, if you need to, tuck those knees for the easier version. Just lifting that hip up. Relax, got the same thing on the other side. Remember, knees stacked for the easier version, legs extended for the harder version. Just focus on that form, keep those hips perpendicular to the ground, keep those shoulders perpendicular to the ground. Make sure you're not rolling your shoulders over forward or backward. Drop that hip as low as comfortable, as low as you can without letting it touch or feeling like you're losing control. Press it right back up. Keep those lungs open. And remember again, if you need to, if you start getting too tired, you can drop down onto those knees with a slightly easier version. Again, dropping that hip as low as you can, pressing up as high as possible. Alright, we just have 5 more exercises to go. This is kind of our third group. Doing a crisscross crunch next. One leg out, other leg up. Hit tabletop, crunch up towards that knee. Alternate, crunch up towards that knee. Make sure you keep that knee at a 90-degree angle at the top and you don't bring that knee in past your hip joint. Crunch forward towards it. Nice rotation through that shoulder each time. Working on those abdominal muscles as well as a little bit of those obliques. Keep it going. As you start getting tired, you're going to feel like you're wanting to tuck that knee in really close. Try to keep it out. If you need to, let everything drop for just a second. Give yourself a few seconds rest. Start right back in. Whew, and let it relax. All right, we got shell back extension next. Roll over onto those knees. Sit back onto those heels. Flat back. You get round those shoulders forward. And then arch that back up. Round them forward. Arch it back up. Keeping those hands nice and low. He's going to make it a little bit easier for you. If you want to make it a little bit harder, bring those hands up in front of your face. Only do the version you feel comfortable with controlling. You can keep that form nice and clean. If you want it even harder, you can always extend those arms out straight. Just do whatever is most comfortable for you. Nice full range of motion, rounding forward as much as is comfortable, then arching it back up. All right, side plank with a tuck. So you're going to be up on those feet again, similar motion to what we did just a little while ago. This time keeping those hips up nice and high. And you're going to bring that hand from a full extension, tuck it under, and then back up. Just roll those shoulders back open. I'm just going to work those obliques in just a little bit different way. Trying to hold a static position while rotating that torso. Keep those lungs open. Don't hold your breath. Try to keep them up a little bit longer. Again, if you need to, you can drop down onto those knees. Slightly easier version. And same thing on the other side. Either on those knees for the easier version, those feet stacked, or excuse me, feet extended. Harder version, come up to that plank, holding that side plank, hips perpendicular to the ground, shoulders perpendicular, hand up, tuck it underneath, roll those shoulders forward, back up. Try to keep those hips stacked, one on top of the other, so you're keeping it perpendicular. Take your time. Nice full range of motion. Just keeping those hips up nice and high, trying to keep a relatively straight line down through that body. Again, keep those lungs open. Try not to hold your breath. Almost done with this one. You just have one more exercise after this. Let it relax. Plank is next. So out in kind of a push-up position. We're going to do it off those elbows. Bring those hips up and hold it. Try to keep a nice straight line from your shoulder down to those ankles. Abs tight. If you need to, drop down on those knees, make it a little easier. If you have to take a complete rest, do so, but take only a couple seconds and go right back into it for as long as you can before you need to break again. Keep those lungs open, don't hold your breath. Almost there. And let it relax. All right, I did a lot better than I thought I was going to. How about you guys? That was still really difficult though. So if it felt like it was too easy for you, go back through this again next time and use just a little bit of weight. All you need is about 2 pounds or so, and it'll make a vast difference. Try the harder version than you did this time. Make it much, much more difficult for yourself. If it was too hard, just keep going through it. Watch that form. Do the hardest version you can with clean form. If you're starting to let that form slide, back off just a little bit. All right, guys. All we have left is our cool down. So let's get that done. All right, all we have is a few stretches left. Doing each one of these for 30 seconds apiece. Let's go ahead and get them going. Doing a regular toe touch first. Feet straight up. Lean down as far as it's comfortable. Try to keep a relatively flat back. If you can't touch those toes, don't worry about it. As long as you can feel it in the back of those legs and that hamstring, maybe in the back of the knee or calf. Hands around those shoulders as much as you can. Bend it forward. Just let it relax. Do a torso stretch, side bend. So we're going to keep that shoulder down towards that knee. Hand over top, should feel a stretch to the outside of that torso, as well as again in that hamstring. Just let it stretch. Keep that chest open the entire time to get the most out of that stretch on that torso. Same thing on the other side. Tuck that foot in, other one comes out. Reach down towards that toe. If you can't reach it, that's fine. Hand comes over top of your head, reaching down towards that foot as well. Try to get that stretch to that torso, leaning over as far as it's comfortable. Less of an important stretch on that hamstring, more trying to just get that twist to that torso, that bend through that torso. And we got Cobra stretch next. Flop down on your stomach, hands by the base of your rib cage, nice and slow. Press it up. Let that lower back just relax and stretch. Keep those shoulders pulled down away from you. Push that chin up towards the ceiling. And relax. We're going into a shell stretch next. So sit back on those heels. Stretch out first. Stretch those hands away from you. Nice and slow. Pull them in. Press that hand in towards the mat next to those knees. Round those shoulders. Press those shoulders down into those hips. Round that back. And we're doing a torso twist next, so lay flat on your back. Right leg out, left leg comes over top. Just pull it across as far as is comfortable, keeping both shoulders on the ground, on the mat the entire time. Only stretch as far as you can before that shoulder starts to lift up. Keep those lungs open, try to let everything through that core relax. Do the same thing on the other side, so straighten that left leg out. Right leg comes up and over. Again, twist as far as you can without letting that shoulder come up off of the ground. Do a deep glute stretch next, so bring that left leg up, right leg over top, grab behind that left leg, and pull in. You're going to feel this stretch on your right leg and that glute, maybe even through the side of that hamstring just a little bit. But just pull in as close as is comfortable. If you feel the tension start to release a little bit, just pull in a little bit more. Make sure you're grabbing from behind your thigh and not in front of your shin. You don't want to overcompress that knee. Same thing on the other side. Cross that other leg, pull it in. Just try to relax, breathe normally. One exercise or one stretch left. We're doing a full body stretch. Hands extended over your head, feet out away from you as far as possible. You're going to stretch those hands and feet opposite directions. Arch that back up. Deep breath in. Let it relax for a second. One more time. Hands and feet in opposite directions. Press them out. Arch that back up. Deep breath. Hold it. And let it relax. All right. That is the end of our cool down, which means this workout is complete. Hope you guys liked it. I'll see you next time.